We are going to go from penmanship to the printed word.
And to space.
Yes.
And heavy metal cowboys.
We have author Stephen Dorning with us today. Stephen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and why you got into writing books.
Well, my English teacher in high school was always fond of my short stories, and she kind of encouraged me. Her name was Betty Alexander. I dedicated this book to her, as a matter of fact. I've always wanted to write. I do a lot of reading. Science fiction is basically what I read, that and fantasy. But I just decided one day I wanted to write a book.
The plot line of the book was probably something you've had in mind for some time?
Originally, it was going to be a comic book. It was an idea I had in high school as a comic book. My uncle Danny was a real big artist, Danny Dorning. He won the 86-87 Duck Stamp Award.
Oh, wow,
And,
okay.
It kind of runs in my family. But we were going to do a comic book of it, and it just kind of expanded beyond the bounds of that, and I ended up with a book out of it. And I kind of wrote it aiming at the 12 to 16-year-old
Okay.
audience. It's Christian science fiction, as a matter of fact.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. This is a genre that you don't hear about very often.
Not too much. I don't know if it's because people don't write it or they just don't advertise it much, but I have, well, the last 5 years have really been, God's been working in my life for the last 5-6 years really heavy. And He basically is the one that inspired me to go ahead and write this book, because it has a lot to do with my faith and stuff that I dealt with. I just kind of, I put it in an imaginary set, but it's still my faith and my problems that I had dealing with it. And it kind of expands. I'm hoping to get, I've got book 2 finished, but I've still got test readers working with that. So hopefully I'll have that out soon.
When you went to get the book published, did they ask for a sequel?
No, actually, that's kind of a long story there, because I entered it into a contest, Blount County Writing Contest. It was sponsored by Fifth Estate Books, and I first saw the flyer and I picked it up, but I looked at the date, the due date on what they wanted, and I thought, I have no time to write anything for this. And later on, I found out that they extended the deadline because they were expanding the area that they were going to take submissions from. And I still didn't think about entering my book at that point, because I was trying to get it published through normal avenues. And it turns out my son's karate instructor is the CEO of the publishing house. And I was like, well, my wife got to talking to him, and he wanted to see it. So I brought it over to him, and he said that they've moved the deadline and you can go ahead and enter it if you want to. So they entered it, and I won.
Wow.
And it was a roller coaster ride after that. I haven't slowed down yet.
Well, Stephen, what's the plot of the book?
Mason Hawks he's a scout for Earth. He scouts out new planets and basically takes core samples and stuff. And he runs into a new alien species that are hostile. And they basically kill him. And his body, his soul gets transferred over to the body of a cyborg robot, an android. And from there, he ends up having to fight him. So it's a...
Now, how does the Christian theme work into this?
Okay, the planet that he comes to on is set up. They have it's a primitive planet, and it's kind of like a American Indian type setup. But they all worship the Father of all, which is basically God, our Christian God, and they don't have our problems as far as worshiping and faith and their doubts in their faith as we do. We have a lot of doubts with our faith. They're more sure of themselves of it.
And you're looking